accident, Sarah and Chris eventually arrived at their new home. As they settled in, tensions arose between Sarah and Chris, leading to a heated argument revolving around Chris' father. In a fit of frustration, Chris fled into the surrounding forest. Worried for her son's safety, Sarah instinctively pursued him and eventually found him near a massive sinkhole, a haunting sight that left her unsettled. At a dinner party with their new friends, chilling tales began to unfold. The conversation turned to Noreen Brady, who had started to believe that her own son, James, was an imposter. Rumors spread that she had taken drastic measures and might have even resorted to murder using a car. That very night, Sarah was abruptly awakened by strange noises emanating from downstairs. Her heart raced as she discovered that Chris was missing from his bedroom. Filled with panic, she immediately contacted the authorities, only to find Chris standing silently in the doorway of his room upon her return. The incident left her shaken and bewildered. In search of answers and desperate for some peace of mind, Sarah sought the guidance of a doctor, who prescribed sedatives to help calm her troubled mind. Days later, while driving Chris home from school, Sarah unexpectedly encountered Noreen Brady once again. In a shocking turn of events, Noreen viciously attacked the car, vehemently proclaiming that the boy in Sarah's care was not her real son. Des, Noreen's husband, intervened and held her back, allowing Sarah to escape in a state of shock. Driven by a mix of curiosity and an unsettling intuition, Sarah decided to pay a visit to the Brady household. To her horror, she discovered that Noreen had died, presumably by suicide, with her head buried in the dirt. As Sarah attended the funeral, she couldn't help but notice that all the mirrors in Noreen's house were covered. In a conversation with Des, Sarah learned that Noreen firmly believed James was an imposter, discerning this by looking at his reflection in a mirror. Shockingly, Des admitted to being responsible for James' death in a car accident. As time went on, Sarah began to notice peculiar changes in Chris's behavior. He became more sociable, developing a newfound appreciation for Sarah's cooking, which he had previously despised. During a confrontation about finding his toy soldier in the forest, Chris erupted into a fit of rage, displaying uncharacteristic strength by forcefully pushing the dinner table. Sarah's growing unease intensified one night when she observed Chris capturing and devouring a spider. The tipping point came during Chris's participation in a school talent show. Sarah's nagging doubts about his identity reached a crescendo, and she resolved to uncover the truth. Determined, she discreetly placed a camera in Chris's room, hoping to capture any revealing nighttime behaviors. When Sarah showed Des the recorded footage, he dismissed her concerns but couldn't provide the reassurance she desperately sought. Driven to drastic measures, Sarah decided to mix her sedatives into Chris's food. Confronting him about his identity when he failed to recognize their favorite game, Sarah was met with a violent response from the imposter masquerading as her son. The imposter attacked her, leaving her unconscious. When Sarah regained consciousness, she managed to break free. Starting anew in an anonymous city, Sarah and Chris sought refuge in an apartment adorned with countless mirrors. With their past horrors behind them, they embraced their fresh beginning, determined to keep their identities intact and shielded from the malevolent forces that had once plagued them.